Hello and welcome to providing the resources and solutions to help support next generation cybersecurity solutions, sponsored by Dell Expert Network and Intel. I'm your host, Kenna Johnson from the Channel Company. Over the past year, the severity and frequency of cybercrimes have continued to evolve. Managed service providers are experiencing massive opportunities around cybersecurity. According to IPED, 70% of MSPs expect continued growth of managed services due to the pandemic. 43% of MSPs said they expect the fastest growth in the next 12 to 18 months. We're going to learn ways businesses can keep their remote workforce productive and their devices protected. Today, we have Wes Gunn, Expert Network Program Manager with Dell Technologies. He's joined by Eric Townsend, Director of SMB Partner and MSP Marketing with Intel. Welcome, Wes and Eric.
Thanks, Kenna. Thanks for having us today. Very excited about this webinar and some great content we're going to go over.
Yes, great to be here.
Thank you both for joining me today. Segment 1, trends around security. As cybercrime continues to evolve, how have you seen partners adapt to the changes?
That's a great question. There's, if we just baseline it, we think about the security environment today, over 350,000 new pieces of malware come out every day. It just keeps more and more and more and more keep them right. And I think when you think about the number of kind of security issues happening with malware, ransomware, a lot of people get confused. They think, gosh, those attacks are being focused on large enterprises. And actually, majority of it, or 50%, those attacks are happening on small businesses. I'm talking the US here, right? So 50% there, and of that 50%, 6% of people are actually out of business within 6 months. So when we're talking about this and saying, okay, what are we really seeing partners, how they're evolving? We all know of this thing called MFA, multi-factor authentication, right? It's a techie thing. But there's this new thing that's happening where partners are doing this multi-layered security approach. So where they're actually saying, I'm going to have hardware. I'm going to have the Dell hardware on the kind of the bottom of the edge. I'm going to be able to have software that goes on top of that, right? So I can be able to handle any software attacks. And then I'm having technical services and I'm having business services that actually come on top of that. So this thing that we're seeing with partners, they're putting in this new multi-layer security solution support for their customers.
With remote work increasing security gaps, what opportunities do partners have to deliver the security needed to keep their customers' employees productive and their devices protected?
When you think about partners and how they're evolving, right, that multi-layer, when you think about hardware, Dell has so many great solutions. I would tell you the ones we're seeing the most, the partners putting out on the security side, is Dell's got a really cool product called the Micro. It's a really small little desktop, really cool thing. What they're doing is partners are taking that and putting that out on the edge. So whether it's a remote workplace or it's actually someone at someone's house, and they're putting on the front of the network. So basically, it's kind of like a security appliance. So all the traffic is going through it and then going back in the network. Well, if all of a sudden there's an attack, it will attack this. That thing gets shut down. And all of a sudden, there's a message sent over a software console saying, hey, there's an issue. So that's a technical thing of it. The best thing about it is the partners actually remotely manage this, and it's an endpoint that they put on their managed services agreement. Right, so they charge like $10 a month. They get $10 a month just for this thing sitting here. Now, I'll tell you that besides just that hardware piece, software-wise, Dell has this thing called Safe BIOS that basically is in the hardware itself to basically stop things that are happening on a BIOS level. In addition, a lot of the things that are in Dell Technologies, it's got the integration with Intel around our vPro technology, where if you've got a remote management console, like a Datto, like a ConnectWise, like a Kaseya, Enable, Spiceworks, you use those consoles and you can remotely manage that system, even if it's turned off or it's blue screened. And so we've got hardware, right? That's kind of at the edge, it's built in. We've got software integration happening. But what we're also seeing is that multi-layer on technical services, right? So when we think about technical services, this is really saying those remote environment assessments. So when you're looking at an environment, right, that is definitely the great, edge hardware that we've been talking about with vPro, but there's also networks that are happening out there. There's storage that people need. So that's happening. And then on the business services side, where I think this is one of the biggest areas going to grow for partners, is doing those security assessments. Also going through doing, even kind of sound weird, I'm not saying everyone's going to become an insurance salesperson, but they're actually helping bridge the gap on, security insurance, like cybersecurity insurance. Partners are actually helping their customers actually get that because there's so many breaches that are actually happening nowadays.
What should partners be aware of when it comes to cybercrime in 2022?
Ken, it's not going to slow down, first of all. So I wish I could list you out all the stats of how this breach is going to stop them, but I'll give you the 4 big ones, right, that everyone's talking about right now. So number one, we're going to have to secure everything. Like it's not zero trust. It's like literally locking down everything. So operating system, mobile devices. When I talk about it, could be your latitudes. It could be your phone, whatever. It has to be locked down. Virtual servers locked down. Cloud workloads locked down. So everything is going to have to be secure. And not to say that everyone hasn't done that, but maybe the hygiene on it hasn't been as good. So we really got to lean in and say, okay, how are we going to really take more of that in 2022 to really lock everything down? The second thing is, and a lot of people, they bring this in, they talk about automation. We've all been talking about automation for a long, long time on manageability, updating patches, things like that. What I'm talking about now is this thing called cybersecurity automation. And this is where when you're thinking about attacks that actually happen, that you're actually putting things in place when an attack action, a human doesn't have to get involved. The system automatically goes and says, okay, here's this issue happening, there's an attack happening, what do I need to go do? How can I actually stop that? So we got, the cybersecurity automation is gonna be a big deal. I think also in the past, everyone here has heard of assessments. We've all done assessments, right? On-site manageability assessments. We've done assessments on technology assessments. It's generically, okay, that's an old system, that's a new system. The new thing we're gonna be is cybersecurity maturity assessments. So how the game changed here, Ken, is that now you may have a customer that you've done an assessment for, right? Maybe a security one, but you haven't looked at their maturity of how they're dealing with their cybersecurity issues, right? So whether it's cybersecurity insurance, do they have it? What level? Do they have the right security kind of put in place around endpoints? Do they have it on their cloud environments? But it's looking at all of that. That's gonna be something that comes. And then one thing that's become more important, every year we talk about this, but I think in 22 it will be even more important, is you're gonna have to engage more vendors. That's how it works. You got to be able to engage more vendors because there's so many more solutions for you to go implement. I mean, back in the day, we'd all hear about BDR, business disaster recovery, right? You implement that one piece of software and it could back up someone's information. Like, cool, I'm safe. They're backed up, we're good, right? But now you think about, we got SIMs, we got all these other, we got SOCs, not the SOCs we put on, but like the security operations center. We got all these things, and so now it's just going to keep growing, and you got to have more solutions out there because your customers are expecting it. So that's what we're going to be seeing in 2022.
Segment 2, today's security solutions. Malware and ransomware threats are on the rise. How are partners going to deal with the increase of these threats in 2022 and beyond?
When you think about the threats and them going up, this whole thing around a multi-layered approach for your security solution is going to be paramount. So the hardware piece, it's just got to be built in. You now have to start looking at every solution you're putting out and saying, is there security built in? That's first thing. On your software, the software solutions that are on your endpoints, the software that you have back with your services team, is it all integrated, right? It's got to be integrated. And I think this part around automation is going to become more and more important. We could say AI, we could say, but is the automation in place so that when there's attacks actually happening or a customer calls, how can you make sure there's already work being done? We don't want to wait for something to actually happen and then deal with it. How can we proactively put something in place? And this is where this is a long-term thing we have to put in place. But this whole thing on this multi-layered solution is something that all partners will be embracing and implementing in 2022.
What solutions do Dell and Intel deliver around hardware-based security?
We have been literally, between Dell and Intel, we've been working on this since 1992. So we're coming into like the 30th year anniversary of, like, back in the day, we talked about securing a desktop. That was like a big deal because you're like, are you going to add a chain on, or are you going to secure it to the desk? That was our big, but so we've been literally, there's so many innovations. I'll just give you kind of the 2 big ones that are out there right now. That if you're looking at your Dell solutions, so think of your Latitude, your OptiPlexes, your Precisions, right? We worked here and said, hey, if we think about a lot of attacks that happen, right there, a lot of attacks are happening where basically there's some type of threat that's coming in, and it's basically just trying to break through a firewall or something, and then it gets in and it attacks. We have a technology called Intel Control Flow Technology, and basically what that enforcement technology does, it basically stops this hijacking of this information to kind of go in and break through. This is one where it basically helps protect more of the operating system. It also prevents kind of just common attacks that people don't even know about, that a lot of hackers are using just to basically break in your system. The second big thing I'd tell you is there's a technology we've been working on, gosh, it's probably been about 4 or 5 years, and we call it Intel Threat Detection Technology, TDT. And threat detection technology is really something where a lot of people nowadays, with ransomware becoming kind of the number one, like malware used to be it. Now ransomware has kind of come up. And in ransomware, there's ways that they actually get into system where they'll launch something with a little crypto, your system will lock your system up and it requires that code. So what we've gone to said, okay, how do we make sure that when there's things being trying to be put on the system, whether at a BIOS level or even just in the OS, someone's clicking on something, how can we actually put some intelligence there out in that Dell latitude where also someone clicks on it and there's something, either an alert sent to a partner or they can understand like there's something happening and we can stop against those attacks. Because Microsoft has said, hey, look, we're doing our best on the OS side, but there's things that humans come in and they cause problems. So how can we make this more proactive? So I would tell you that control flow technology, being proactive on attacks that are happening from a malware perspective, and then our threat detection technology built into those latitudes, that stops a lot of the ransomware issues that are coming up for partners right now.
How does hardware-based security improve remote users' capacity and performance?
I think that the percentages is 48% of all security breaches come from us, humans. So it's us, we're the problem. I mean, we don't want to say it, but yeah, we're the problem. And I think when we think about remote users, wherever they're at, like I said, if they're in a shared workspace, they're home, wherever they're at, they're not behind the big firewall at a corporate, right there. We really got to think about being proactive versus being reactive. And I'm all for, backing someone else's systems up at night, their data. That's great. That's a very, and then when they call and say, hey, I've got a problem, then you can, upload the data, re-image your system. That's great. But that's reactive. How do we actually get proactive in that part? And I think when we talk about being proactive, that capability is making sure that people are up and they'll do their job all the time. I've had a couple partners this year that had issues where when ransomware hits, I don't know if you've dealt with this, but when it hits your system, it locks up. Like it basically just asks for a code. It's like going to ATM. You can't do anything. You're sitting there going, okay, cool, something just happened. I can't, where's my password? So that part of that lost productivity, when people are down, and it's not like it's for like an hour or 2 hours. We're talking days that people are down because they got to get money to actually pay back the bad people, right? They got to go. So as a result, this part of actually making so it's a lot more proactive in that security. And I told you, Intel threat detection, what we try to figure out is like, okay, how do we make it so that system is still going to run really, really fast? So we do memory scanning. We have AI built in as far as on not just your kind of hard drive memory, but also your system memory information. And it's all balanced on all the Dell technology that's built in to the latitudes and optiplexes. So the big thing is making sure we put something proactive in place. And if we put a proactive in place, they're not going to lose all that productivity time being locked up by security breaches.
Segment 3, what is needed for partners to be successful in security in 2022 and beyond? Does Dell have any programs available for MSPs to help in today's changing environment?
We have a fairly new program at Dell that's it's built specifically for MSPs, and that is the Dell Expert Network. Just as a real high level, a couple of the benefits you're going to receive by being part of the Dell Expert Network is we're going to provide you with a dedicated account manager. So we want to create your relationship with our MSPs. So we're going to give you one rep you can work with for all your customers, all your end users. They can help you with all your quoting, ordering. We want to provide you that one contact to help out with all your end users there. A couple of the other benefits you're going to receive in the Dell Expert Network is it's a incentive program. So we want to reward you for recommending Dell. So there's very straightforward rewards in the program. We're going to pay our consultants, our MSPs, 3% back on everything they purchase through Dell. We're also going to pass along those rewards to the end users. So if by chance the order is placed on the end user account, we're going to give the end users 3% back as well. So again, we want to reward our MSPs for recommending Dell. We pay that in the form of rewards. A couple other benefits, we have your very own DEN online portal that you can log into. You can track all your orders, you can track all your rewards, kind of have one frame to see kind of an overlook of your entire account there. We also have a lot of financing options by being part of the Dell Expert Network. The key takeaway there is we can include an MSP's fees within that Dell lease so they can finance, the end users can finance that total solution.
What tools does Dell offer MSPs to help with today's security concerns?
Yeah, a couple of tools we have as being part of the Dell Expert Network. One is called Tech Direct. Tech Direct is a great time-saving tool for our MSPs. It is an online portal that you can log into, and you can do things like self-log a support ticket. So it's going to help save our MSPs time. They can they don't have to pick up the phone. They don't have to call support. They can load those service tickets right there on their online portal. As you become more advanced within Tech Direct, there's things that you can do, such as self-dispatch replacement parts. So you don't have to do that over the phone. You can simply do that through your online portal. Another great tool that Dell offers is Live Optics. If you're an MSP, you're not familiar with Live Optics, it's a great tool. It's 100% free, but it is a performance analysis tool that you can actually run in your customer's environment. It's going to give you an overall outlook of that entire environment. We recommend running it for about a 24-hour period so you can collect the backups and all. But it's going to give you kind of a screenshot of the entire environment. And there's no better time now that with a lot of people being remote still to run that tool. It's a great free tool that we offer from Dell.
What is the cost for this program?
The Dell Expert Network is 100% free. There is no cost to join. There's no minimums or anything like that. If you're an MSP, it's something that we offer from Dell.
What is the best way to learn more about Dell Expert Network?
You can visit the site dell.com/expert network. We can take a look at the account and we can get you set up. It's a very quick same-day process. And again, that is 100% free to join.
In addition to the Dell Expert Network program, are there any resources from Intel that partners can utilize in 2022?
Ken, I'm glad you asked. So, you heard all the greatness, right? From a Den perspective, all those layers, right? I would give you a couple ones that you can add on those, right? So think of all the information that was on the Den portal, right, that Wes talked about. In our Intel Partner Alliance program, we have a thing called Intel Partner University. So all that additional content. Now we're going to be more around the technology. So that threat protection technology, if you don't know how that works, we'll have some information there. We've got AI stuff, cloud, all that. So I'd say Partner University. Second thing I'd tell you is that some partners you're listening today are like, hey, I'm maybe not the person that has all the solutions, or I fit this piece right here, but not this piece. We have a thing called our Intel Partner Alliance Solution Marketplace. And in the marketplace, you can actually see other solutions that are out there. Now, not necessarily you're buying, but you may be learning about things, talking to other people that are actually there so you can see what can fit. So marketplace, and the last one I'd say is, and partners, I know you're hearing this, right? You heard of the incentive side that Wes talked about. So I'm going to throw my part, and this is a layer. So this is on top of what you get in Den, right? So what we have is we have our kind of IPA points benefits opportunity. So when you're actually going through and buying all those Dell solutions, right? When you're buying them, you're going to get incentives for each one you actually sell, whether it's desktops, notebooks, servers, anytime it's got an Intel CPU in it, right? We've got different opportunities. Take a look at that. These are things that are on top of what you get with Den. And it's definitely, I talked earlier about kind of how you're going to have to partner with more vendors. You got two big ones sitting here right now and say, we want to actually partner with you. So that Dell.com/expert network, definitely want to go look at that today.
Wes and Eric, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you for watching at home. For the channel company, I'm Kenna Johnson.